evening, ladies and gentlemen. So here is your market wrap-up. We're going to try and do this as quick as we can so you guys are aligned with what to expect going into tonight, but more importantly, tomorrow's financial data regarding the US economy. So it's been a little bit of a whipsaw day today, given that Bitcoin makes a high of around 8.5% gain, and then now it's pulled all the way back down to only bank in what looks like a 5% gain for the session. Now, Bitcoin has pulled back, so there's been a lot of profit taking, but more importantly, news on the street is suggesting that a Russian aircraft has downed a US air drone, which is what has caused a little bit of concern in the marketplace. It's all over the place, guys. You've got yields moving all the way back up. The dominance of the dollar is holding out. It's taken a bit of a tumble, and you've got Euro making strong moves as well. The Nasdaq has taken a bit of a shot to the downside. This is what we naturally anticipate when we see big moves in the chart, which is why I'll always say to you, pay yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. So in tonight's video, we're going to have a quick look at a few bank stocks that have been purchased by a few of the insiders. Why are they buying up so much of these stocks, for the better word? Okay, given that the banking sector itself has just experienced a good old bailout by the government, does that mean it's sustainable? All right, we still got the problem of inflation. That is still an issue. And tomorrow's data could actually flip it on its head and suggest to us that if the economy is still doing strong, then that means there's more room for inflation to go up. Because the data that came out today didn't really give any promise. It did show that the core price index did rise. Now, in tomorrow's data, which we're going to have a look at, it could set the tone as to whether or not the Fed's going to pause increasing interest rates or actually increase them. So if you are new to the channel and you love the flavor, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's have a conversation. So we have Bitcoin on the 15-minute time frame not showing a decent promise right now, given that it's giving back all of its gains that it made from today. Now, that's an unfortunate event. I'm hoping that you guys are paying yourselves. Now, we bring on the hybrid system. You can see Bitcoin is actually taking back all of the green vector candles inside of this zone right here, which we would anticipate that if this move does pick up momentum, then we're going to start seeing price continue down even lower, and hopefully not, Bitcoin doesn't come back down to the daily open. But Bitcoin has come back into a very critical point. We go into the 4-hour time frame, you can see that it's now come back into the same zone that was resistance back in the day. And we said that if Bitcoin can break this region here, we would then anticipate a liquidity run to the upside to eat this red vector candle right here in the chart. As you can see, this red vector zone. Now we go over to the actual price point itself, and you can see Bitcoin. Where is it? There you go. You can see Bitcoin has made that move, come up to recover some of that red vector candle, and now it's pulled all the way back down into that zone. In my opinion, Bitcoin would need to hold out in today's daily open. It has to hold the daily open to suggest that this move wasn't just a setup to trap traders long to only reverse it back down. That's the key thing about this. Now, going into the smaller time frames themselves, we need to understand, why has this move started to gain momentum? Well, word on the street is suggesting that Russian fighter jets have actually collided with US air drones, and now there's a lot of speculation saying, oh, it was an accident, it was a little bit reckless. That's already causing a few jitters in the marketplace. With that being said, we've also got the logic that the bonds market, again, is very volatile. And this is going to tell you if investors are putting money into the charts or not. So let's go back into the chart itself and have a look at the bonds market. Scroll all the way down here. We've got the 10-year market here. And you can see 99 right there. And it's pulling back down. It has made a move to the upside of around 100. It's pulled all the way back down, and it's trading away from its daily open, suggesting to us that this might not be a sustainable move in the bonds market. The 2-year yield has yet again shot back up and gone into that 4.2% region. If this continues to move high, ladies and gentlemen, then we're only back to where we were last week. In other words, Bitcoin's move to the upside might not be sustained. It was up nearly 8% for the day. Now it's trading at 3.5% for the day, well, 3.9% for the day. So that's not really a good outlook on Bitcoin. That suggests to me that this could have been a manipulative play by Mr. Market Maker. But saying that, this is because of this information right here with the Russian fighter jet. Moving on from that, if we go over to this chart right here, this shows you who's making purchases on financial stocks. Now, we've got the one stock here, Lakeland Financial Corp. The director, Mr. Welch M. Scott, as the director, has purchased around 16,000 of these shares. We go into the actual chart itself, and we can see Lakeland Financial is one of the banking stocks. Now, the banking stocks have received a lifeline. But that's not what we want to be hearing. We don't want to be seeing the government pumping money into the banking sector. Well, quite frankly, you do and you don't. Why? Because then that means it's going to create a bigger problem in the near future. But with that being said, the last bailout that happened caused Lehman Brothers to go bankrupt. $700 billion was passed by the Senate to get pumped into the economy to avoid the financial global crisis that we were going through regards to the subprime mortgage crisis. And the market from 2008 shot up and didn't stop until 2020. It was a continuous move to the upside. Now, word on the street is saying that there are a lot of financial stocks that are going for the cheap, and it's a bargain to pick these bad boys up. Well, let's just look at this. Stick with me on this one. If cryptocurrency is going to challenge the idea of the native fiat currency, all right, that means that these banks would have to get involved in cryptocurrency. So really, would banking stocks be a good thing to get into, because it's going against the whole idea of why you're involved in crypto in the first place? You're in decentralization, happy days, but then you're going to buy yourself some stocks in a centralized network as such, and you are in essence contradicting yourself. It's like this. You've got people that will protest about nuclear power, but they will go home and they will switch on their kettle. They'll turn on their lights, which is only being powered by the same company that they're protesting against. See, that's the problem that we've got. These companies actually have us pinned to the wall, and we have no choice but to use their services. So with crypto, we get an option to not. So hopefully, the banking sector, in my opinion, can endorse the idea of cryptocurrency and be a little bit more decentralized. Well, that's very unlikely to happen, but that's another story. Anyway, moving on from that, ladies and gentlemen, we have Moody's. Moody's is a financial institution that gives out advice, financial advice, and ratings on certain stocks that hit the stock market. And it's now shifted the US banking sector to negative. All right. So here's a little bit of a breakdown. Here we go. Moody's, American financial services company that acts as a holding company for Moody's Investor Service and Moody's Analytics. When these bad boys say that's a negative or that's not a buy, that's a sell, usually people take that to heart, which would be consistent with all these companies right here, or all these directors buying up all these stocks. Now, if I just quickly zoom in for a little bit, you'll see. Look, these are all financial stocks, okay? So there's a lot of buying happening right now. This tells me that these people ain't concerned about a recession. These people ain't concerned about nothing, but that doesn't mean that they are not aware of what's going on. They're just seeing that all these banking stocks are going for cheap, okay? Now, with that being said, Facebook cuts more jobs, okay? From 10,000 to another 11,000 people are out of work. That is a sad, unfortunate story for people in Facebook. But then we go over to the price action of Meta itself. Let me just bring that up for you. Where are we at? Here we go. Big gap up. Hasn't filled it yet, but now it's looking to come back down again. Usually when a company declares that they're cutting jobs, it only means that their bottom line is actually going to improve. So there can be some benefit to that. But that's only going to fuel more interest in the unemployment data that's coming out. Check this out. Going into tomorrow, we actually have the core PPI sales, core retail, Empire Manufacturing Index, and of course the PPI and retail sales again. Now, why is this important? Because this is going to tell us about the economy and of course the behavior of the people who are in work. If retail sales come in higher, that's only going to suggest that the Federal Reserve is going to see a problem with inflation. And today's data showed that the core price index increased. So that's not good news for us. Moving down, on the Thursday, we have the unemployment claims coming out, and they are projecting 205,000 people are going to be signing for the benefit. Now, if this figure doesn't come in and it comes in less, we're back to square one with the question as to whether or not the Fed's going to increase the interest rates, or is it actually going to pause? Because that's the bigger picture right now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, moving on from that, we go back into the charts. We quickly have a look at the euro. You can see euro has actually done very well to climb up, but it's actually come and found a little bit of resistance around the 1.07500 zone. That is consistent with the dominance of the dollar coming down. But look, dollar hasn't actually broken down just yet. That is a cause for concern for me. As long as I can see dollar just trading away from this range, I'm more content with running longs on euro. However, if it's holding out, it's telling me something that investors may be accumulating on the back of the dollar. We go down, you can see the 2-year yield is still holding out and it's not breaking down. Like I said to you guys yesterday, this coming down right here was the government's run. That's a government move, okay? There's no one that can move the yields that aggressively to get people to get involved in the treasuries, all right? It was the government. So Got to be careful with the yields. Now, going into the volatility index, it's starting to come up. Remember what we said. When this bad boy is moving up, everything is going down. And when everything goes down, you're then looking for potential buying opportunities. Why? Because when this volatility index hits above 30, that is where you are in an extreme where when it's high, you buy because people are in fear. And then it would reverse from that point in principle and then come back down again, which is where you would see everything move back up. Now, going into Asian session tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that Bitcoin has now stabilized and formed a little bit of a structure here. It has recovered the green vector candle, giving back most of its gains. What do we need to see Bitcoin do from now until tonight? Well, go on to the smaller time frames and you can see that it's now actually starting to trend down. And as long as it continues to trend downwards, we need to be mindful of the next zones that they mark out. So look at this. Green vector candle right there hasn't been fully recovered yet. That could be a point in the chart that Bitcoin actually attempts towards to. Now, if we do see Bitcoin go up, we're going to see resistance at the 50 EMA. If it manages to hold inside of this area and resist it, it will then likely come back down again and test this green vector candle. So that is in principle what we want. We want Bitcoin to drop down, but not to go so aggressively towards the daily open. If it does go to the daily open, then today would have been a false move to the upside and it trapped enough traders into a belief. Now, if we just quickly go over to the high block itself, you can see that Bitcoin, as you can see, we've got earlier on, I updated this at 20 to 7 in the evening, and we had the liquidity down here at 24,925. If we run that again one more time, have they taken that liquidity yet? Yes, they did. There's your liquidity. That's what I mean, man. People, why didn't they pay themselves? There's $918 million worth of long liquidations. Why did they not take the money and run? That's another story, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on from that, we're going into the high time frame to understand exactly where we are in terms of the bigger picture. And you can see Bitcoin has made the 1 move, 2, 3 hits to the upside, and they left the liquidity up here at 26,700 is where there is $18.8 billion worth of short liquidations. Will they go into attack from that? What we need to be mindful of is we need Bitcoin to hold out inside of this zone because this is the zone that it dropped from earlier on this last week as such. There you go. Couple of weeks ago, right there in the 24,973 zone. If it can hold this zone, then that is a promise that this area has now become support, which will then lead Bitcoin higher to start taking back some more of the vector candle inside of this region right here. Moving on from that, guys, we have more data coming out tomorrow. So that is naturally going to be suggesting that you've got to be very cautious with your trading. Again, today was a very volatile session in the marketplace. Now, with that being said, we're going to be going into Asia this evening, and they too will get response in relation to the Russian aircraft hitting the US air drone itself. Now, that might actually bring a little bit of instability in the markets, but there will also be profit taking happening overseas. So Sydney and Asia and Hong Kong tonight, they too will be taking some profits in Bitcoin, given that this move has been so aggressive to the upside. It's up nearly 35% for the week. We need to get some cash out of this bad boy. All right. So be sure to like and subscribe. I'll be checking in with you all tomorrow to bring in that fire for the New York live stream. Take care of yourselves, pattern watchers. Mad love. Peace.